Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to welcome you back for the first time in like 3 months to It's a Wrap! Yay, yay! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to It's a Wrap. It is I, your host, Cooper Ferguson, and the Doc, the Golden Gloves Gleason,
heavyweight champion,
PhD in messing you up. Gosh, that was a great fight.
Thanks for the support. Thanks for the love.
I got so aggressively hyped up in the stands. It was it was right under the line of like, I work here, I should stop. I shouldn't be doing this.
I wish I could have seen you. I wish there was footage of that.
We should get a better crowd cam. It was real bad because like everyone was doing well. It was like like a 2-3 point difference?
It was close.
It was real close.
It was close.
Whenever I go to a sporting event, like this walks the line of a sporting event, I guess. But like whenever I go, I don't like sports typically, but whenever I do go, I always end up getting like way too into smack talk. Like I get really into it and then I get on a roll, so I can just start talking trash constantly in a flow, and it's all good. But if I don't watch it, it gets much meaner than it should.
For the rematch, I'm going to have you as my hype man, so you can like come out with the corner team.
Give me a sec here. Decided that if it's possible, I think people would appreciate watching a video of the exchanges. Might also be nice, but yeah, it's I felt bad because I like Andrew, but I was also like, I know you better, so I was out there being like, just
you gotta
talking
pick
smack,
a side, you know, you really do.
I think the best one the people around me were saying was like, you can tell Andrew's in admissions because he's let every one of those in.
Oh, that's great.
And then I tried to come up with a couple for Andrew, just like for posterity's sake, and it was, I don't know, I can't remember what they were, but they're probably something along the lines of like, make it so he can't teach tomorrow. That's low effort, but I can't I couldn't figure out.
I did teach next day. I was concussed for about 3 days.
Really? Oh my Lord. Dang, we're gonna have to.
But I'm sharp. I'm mentally sharp now.
All right, cool. We're coherent. We're not. I didn't subject you to 3 albums while you were dazed and confused. Luckily. Okay, so before we get into the root of everything, we have some things that I just want to jump over, things that might be important, things that some people might care about when it comes to the world of rap so far. One of the things I think is most interesting is Tech Nine had an NPR Tiny Desk concert performance.
Nice.
Every time they bring in a rapper, it's always one I really don't expect.
Yeah.
Like they brought in Mac Miller, they brought in Run the Jewels and Tyler, the Creator. Like people like No Name makes sense. And then they bring in Tech Nine, who's just always known for like his giant sort of spectacle shows. But he's up there being himself. He was tons of fun. Chance the Rapper got married recently.
Newsworthy.
He also took a musical sabbatical that was pretty well publicized to study the word. I'm personally proud of the guy.
That's cool.
I like him. Yeah. I forgot that Obi Trice existed. Like I remembered that song, the opening. If y'all don't know, that's a Wanna Know by Obi Trice. That was off some boxing game I played on the PSP way back when. But then I realized that dadgum, Obi Trice was on stuff a while ago, and then it was gone. And then I was thinking about all the rappers that existed in the early 2000s who disappeared, like Krayshawn, who was, I guess, the original Gucci Gang, honestly, because she had like Louis, Venny, Louis, Gucci, Venny, Prada. Yeah. And basically, she was the annoying designer person before Pump stepped in or before Migos stepped in, unless Versace and her came around at the same time. But that was just people like that. That was all sparked by the fact that Soulja Boy has been on a grind recently that I did not expect.
He's beefing. He's calling people out.
I love it too, because he is just so worthy of being smacked upside the head as well. Like he got
into it with Drake. That was the big one, wasn't it?
He got on the breakfast show or Breakfast Club, and just someone was like, yeah, but what about Drake? And then he had the iconic line, Drake! Just that kind of voice scratch when he's saying like Drake stole his flow. Then you like analyze it. Drake straight up stole the man's flow.
He has a point. He really does.
He's, for everything that Soulja Boy does that's stupid, people have done a very good job recently of acknowledging how much impact he has had. It is so much more than you think it would. Like, he is arguably the creator of like the internet age of rap with Crank That. Like, as dumb as that song is, it's the genesis of this sort of digital electro age of the genre. And then he just decided to start selling unlicensed video games, and that was where I stopped just giving any sort of respect. DMX got out of prison. Guess why he was there? No, it's not for that reason. It's because of tax fraud, the least gangster reason to go to prison, unless you're talking about...
The most gangster reason to go to prison.
Unless you're talking about Al Capone.
They always get you. The IRS will get you in the end.
Other person going to jail, 6ix9ine. I brought him up a couple times. Tekashi 6ix9ine. He has faced, I think, 7 federal charges, all of which, some of which have a minimum sentence, a minimum life sentence.
Oh no, I did see that. Yeah,
a collective 47 years.
Yeah,
which means that at 22, as he is now, if he was going to jail at just the minimum years, he would come out at the age of 69.
Yeah,
which that's great.
Sweet irony.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's snitching on a bunch of the people he was caught up in that stuff with, and he's probably going to get out of it with a lighter sentence because the man's not going to do well in prison. He's just ridiculous looking. Yeah, he's snitching. 21 Savage got arrested by ICE because apparently he's British, and like he didn't even know. That was a ruckus for a while. There was YNW Melly, who not a lot of you might know. He came up with a pretty big underground song called "Murder on My Mind," which has like a decent melody, but it's all about. It's an oddly sad and contemplative song from the perspective of a guy who murdered his friend accidentally because he like popped up while the guy was holding a gun, so he just whipped around out of fear and shot him. Turns out Melly was, I think, arrested for murdering 2 of his friends accidentally. So maybe this song is about that. I don't know what the timeline on that is. The timeline is kind of mixed up, but it's whatever. Does
Lecrae check Millie in one of the albums?
Probably not. I don't think so.
Okay, I thought I saw something.
He might have mentioned Millie, but this is Melly.
Oh, okay.
Very close. Also, if you ever see a picture of YNW Melly, he looks like a black Sheen Estevez from Jimmy Neutron. Also, Cardi B won the Grammy for Best Rap Album, and I'm upset.
Yeah,
I am upset. Only like it went up against Astroworld, like. That's not my favorite Travis album.
Yeah.
But it is still better than Cardi.
Yeah.
I am upset. I am just just going to put that away. Also, all of Brian's Chapel podcasts wind up on SoundCloud, so that makes Brian College a SoundCloud artist, and thus no stones shall be thrown by the administration. I have decreed it. Until you fix your life. Big album releases recently. XXXTentacion had his first posthumous album, Skins, released. Had Kanye West on it. Had only a couple tracks. It was real short, like all his albums are. Ice Cube dropped an album. 21 Savage has his own album. Vince Staples, not a lot of people I've talked to know about him, but he dropped an excellent album called FM. Lil Peep also dropped a posthumous album that was pretty well received. So I guess... I don't think Mac Miller's going to end up dropping anything now, but if he did, that like those are the 3 people who died like in the same year, dropping with each other. That'd be interesting. Cool. Earl Sweatshirt dropped an album. That people were waiting for that for a while. JID, Jid, the man dropped another album. It is tasty. That man knows how to spit. He's smart and he's engaging. My man, Ski Mask, the Slump God, dropped an album, and it was disappointing.
Oh.
It wasn't bad. It was just disappointing. It was could have done better.
Yeah.
Aesop Rock, the man with the largest vocabulary in the whole rap game, dropped an album with another electro artist called Malibu Ken. If you're into kind of weird experimental off the wall story rap, definitely look that up. Cool. Definitely check out the song at least Acid King. That is a story song through and through, and it is dark and twisted and so engrossing. I love it. Anderson .Paak dropped another album. The man knows what he's doing with his life. Future dropped an album that got pretty well received. Logic's leaning towards dropping an album soon. YouTuber named Tabby dropped an album that I didn't realize that someone could drop an album just out of nowhere. Like, they're a YouTuber with under 100,000 subscribers. Like, first of all, a YouTuber dropping music just is always weird. Like Scarlord, who's kind of big in the underground scene, was a YouTuber. But this dude drops an album. He's a white guy from Wisconsin. It's really good. Just delivery, personality, flow. Recommending it to y'all if you're looking for just something weird. Just tossing those out there. Some of those might be good. Some of those might not be good. Only listen to a couple of them. The biggest news for me personally is that I re-listened to Kamikaze 6 times in the space of like 3 days.
Yeah. Previously featured on this podcast, Eminem's Kamikaze.
Yeah. I gave it a 4, I think. When we first reviewed it, I think I gave it a 4.
Okay, so you're not saying now.
Yeah, because I respected it, but at the same time, I was very annoyed by it constantly. Now I'm giving it like a 2.
Oh, wow.
Like, you may not realize how long I spent. I wrote a 1,400-word essay to myself about why I hated this album again. Like, I spent a day that I should have spent doing actual schoolwork, sitting down with Kamikaze, going through literally every track, line by line, and dissecting everything about it. I'm not going to give you all that now, but I'm going to give the summary that I left here at the end. I think the album would have been better if it was an EP.
Okay.
If it was a 5-track EP that included The Ringer, Lucky You, Stepping Stones, Not Alike, and Kamikaze. Now, some of the lines in those tracks should be removed because they aren't good. Like the line where he starts trashing Tyler, it's just a stupid line. It's just a dumb line with a dumb sentiment. He should know better. He needs to get rid of that line because he's just dumb. But if he did that, then it would be an album about the best rapper in the game jumping forward saying, "You're all dumb. You're all bad at your things. Look at me. I'm awesome." And then he sits back down.
Yeah.
Instead, he takes time out of his life for songs like Fall and Nice Girls and Nice Guy, Good Guy, and Normal and just god awful tracks. So bad. And I re-listened to Greatest. This is the biggest retraction I want to make. I said that Eminem was bad at hooks during that episode. And I would like to apologize because I was unforgivably wrong because I forgot about the man's early career in its entirety. I forgot about Without Me, forgot about Real Slim Shady, My Name Is, even some of his more recent hooks that aren't interesting, they're still incredibly catchy. Like I just forgot about some of these men, like some of the hooks the man creates. I was just wrong. I felt I felt ashamed. But yeah, no. The album Kamikaze is a joke to me now. Kamikaze is literally...
This is the addendum now.
It is
postscript.
Literally, I started listening to it and I realized, gosh, this is one of the very few albums that I could call so bad it's good in some ways. Especially, most certainly when you hear that opening thing that's like, because I want to punch the world in the freaking face right now. Just the most immature thing ever. Anyway, that's all put to the side.
That's your post-mortem.
Yeah, that's my post-mortem. I'm considering making a little side standalone episode where I just sit down and rant for a little bit in the studio alone, being like, listen. This is my Kamikaze in retrospect analysis.
You may need to do it for your own sanity or conscience.
I might.
It sounds like you're working it out here.
I am so in my head about that.
Yeah.
Other thing, there was a moment where you said that he mentioned a line about doubling commas. That was actually Royce to 5'9" on a track. Okay. But I re-listened to it. That was actually a great verse from Royce.
Nice.
Did a very good job of staying on beat when he was kind of talking over it, then it winds up back onto it. That was a good point. Good part. Royce did a good job. I mentioned that Emma's good at hooks sometimes. And something that I feel like I've neglected that I should have known to put on these is a disclaimer about prospective objectionable content. I don't know why I didn't think about this. We're talking about rap music, current rap music, and like going through it, like our old episodes, I've been realizing, man.
You'll hear me throw in the caveat.
Yeah.
quite often.
Yeah, it's we should have had a more professional version of this. So I'm going to say it now for future episode references. Maybe,
there are edited versions.
There are edited versions. We make sure we don't leave in anything truly horrible. Even though there's the line, that select line I talked about on the Chance episode. How god awful it was. I wish I could have put a content warning right before that. But it's kind of pointless now because we're talking about Christian rap, which is
Oh, that's a great segue into today's topic.
Yeah, the least objectionable thing. Before we begin, how's your interim time been? New music, new anything?
I have one thing, and this is just a public service announcement to Nathan, who's not with us today.
That's true.
And he already knows, but this is just going to be for Nathan and like-minded listeners. And the news that Macklemore will be at Riverbend Music Festival.
Right.
So Nathan is a huge Macklemore fan, and we did our very first podcast on Gemini by Macklemore. So Macklemore is set to show up at Riverbend this summer. So get your Riverbend pins now, Nathan and all Macklemore fans.
Yep. Well, that's going to be a good time for everyone who likes Macklemore. I re-listened to that first album. I re-listened to the episode and realized, man, I was right. That album was bad.
Yeah.
But that's literally, I'm positive that's the only album we all kind of agreed on.
Yeah,
literally.
it was. Because
we all said this is mediocre to bad.
But Nathan, you should go. You should go see Macklemore, and I'm putting it out there. I'll go too. So if anyone's gonna go, I'll tag along as your chaperone.
I'll let y'all debrief us when y'all get back.
Nice.
I'm gonna go find a show to watch on YouTube. My hermity self. Anyway, so let's get into this. We have a few albums to cover today.
Yeah, let's give a overview of our topic.
So today we are going to be discussing Christian rap, kind of its entirety. We put in some effort. I picked 3 albums that I saw as kind of emblematic for an era. I looked up some lists about the best Christian rap albums, best albums from this particular era, moments in Christian rap history. We picked 3 albums. There were so many more we could have gone over. I wish there were some other ones that I thought, man, these are huge memories for me, formative things. I wish we could have gone over them. But that episode would end up being, multiple parts. And dadgummit, there are entire podcasts devoted to just that.
Yeah.
Rapzilla had a podcast running for a while that's on Christian rap.
Nice.
Check out Rapzilla and Sphere of Rap if y'all are looking for Christian rap news. Specifically Christian rap news.
Cool.
Those are pretty good resources. Rapzilla has their own kind of double XL freshman list for Christian rap, and it's kind of interesting. They're cool. They're interesting. I appreciate them. But we are going to stick with the 3 albums we have now. We spent a while with them. We spent a while deciphering them. Each of them are in 3 very distinct styles, and I think analyzing Christian rap through these lenses. I think we will glean some very powerful insights to the nature of Christian interaction with
Culture,
popular art.
Culture, subculture, absolutely.
So our first album, it is the self-titled debut record from the power trio, the gosh darn Run DMC of the church, the frickin' the crew, the Beastie Boys of the pews.
So good.
DC Talk.
In the house.
If y'all don't know who DC Talk is, first of all, get yourself to church. Second of all, Jesus Freak is one of the biggest Christian rap songs, and maybe one of the bigger Christian songs of all time.
And it's a crossover. It's an alt rock / rap song. So that's not on the album that we're looking at, but that song is often cited as the first crossover between those. And so part of our discussion that I'm interested in talking about is Christian rap and Christian art in general always ripping off, or is it sometimes originating an aesthetic? And so that was an example where there really was innovation, and history has sort of given a fair amount of credence to Jesus Freak as a song that helps launch a particular genre. So I thought that was cool. I didn't really realize that when it came out, when I was listening to it in 1995. on heavy rotation in youth group. But now it brings back some nostalgia, but it also it's easier to connect some of those aesthetic dots. But
Yeah. So that is our first album. If Nathan was here, I'd be like, hey, what do you think?
Yeah.
Because he's the one who ends up being the journalist. Because I think all three of us have like a good dynamic when it comes to this. We have the journalist who does all his research. He looks up the interviews. He checks out the history. We have of course the academic who is analyzing everything through a very, very critical, a very precise lens. Then we have me, who listens to music because he doesn't want to do his homework in silence. And then I'm like, yeah, this would be really good to do homework too. And then my next review was, yeah, this is good to do homework too. And yeah, this is good to do homework too, as long as like it's bad homework.
nice.
Yeah. And if y'all are looking for that, check out them chill lo-fi beats on YouTube, y'all. Anyway,
So DC Talk, eponymous album, 1989. It's 8 tracks.
yeah,
So it's short.
it's like
they get
it's
in, they get
32
out.
minutes.
And so I didn't come up listening to this. The first time I really got hit with DC Talk was in their album New Thang, spelled Nuthang.
It sounds like a new wave album from Britain.
And I think one of them is wearing a fanny pack in the album cover, which is dope because fanny packs are back.
The one and only music video they released for this album, it's for the first track. It's for Heaven Bound. If you watch the music video, it is mind-boggling. Because first of all, it's Toby Mac wearing the dumbest looking hat. He's got this big old pork pie hat sitting on his head. He's got huge hair. You can tell it's him because he has that really distinct jawline.
Yeah.
And then he has this whole like Charleston shuffle going on while he's wearing a high waist fanny pack.
Yeah.
Just full up right in front, black on a white shirt, dance in the middle of the street. The man is owning it in that moment.
Oh, yeah.
I can feel proud of him then, but now it burns.
Yeah.
It burns my eyes.
So here's my metaphor for this whole album. It is your middle school yearbook. Okay, can you dig it? So like you crack open the middle school yearbook and you look at yourself and everyone looks more or less the same at that time period.
Yeah.
No one's really standing out too much and you look more or less like a lot of these people. And in one picture you're thinking, oh my goodness, I wore that, like what a goon. This is so dated. And then you turn a couple more pages and you're like, hold up, I think I'm kind of pulling it, like I'm looking all right here. And that's how this album is for me. All of it is in the world of a middle school yearbook, where there's some stuff that doesn't age well at all. There's some stuff that you're like, I could actually get with that right now. But it's all very of its time in that way. So and it creates nostalgia, which a yearbook does as well. That's my metaphor for DC Talk 1989. And that goes for the sound of the music, it goes for the lyrics, it goes for the flow, the delivery, the content, the whole thing.
I didn't have a metaphor. I just have two outlines of my notes from the first listen and the second listen, and each of them are filled with very anecdotal, very what I'm thinking in my head. So some of them are kind of thought out as like, this track is trying to convey this, but it's doing this. And then some of them are just like 3 letters of me going, ugh, and then like the next entry. There's no metaphor for me when it comes to this album. All I have is to just break it down track by track.
Let's roll.
So let's start off with that. Heaven Bound. You got thoughts?
Okay, Heaven Bound is kind of sets up this waving flag of safety for me in this being a rap album that is marketed for a Christian audience. So we come back time and time and time again in this album to like explicit and also very, very simplistic Christian messages. There's no subtlety, and they don't want that. And a lot of times what they're doing is they're saying, we know this is rap, but don't be afraid of us. We know that rap has this reputation for violence and profanity, but, get with us, call us the heaven-bound crew, and you can be too. If you only knew what he did for you. Okay, so like that's their calling card. That's the beginning of their legacy and their career in Christian music. And I think that that's what paved the way for success in a lot of ways. To have a very alternative sound in hip hop, a sound that's alternative for a Christian listener, but to be so on the nose with the content, I think is what allowed them to bridge that gap. So in Heaven Bound, if you want eternal life, choose my friend, he's Jesus Christ. I mean, it's really kindergarten lyricism.
Yeah.
But if you contextualize it, this is 1989, and if you look at other people's flows, it's not really that much worse. It's on par with a lot of those end rhyming rappers that you have. So there are people at the time like Eric B. or KRS-One is like 2 years after this.
They have people like De La Soul and Rakim in this time.
Yeah.
Rakim came before this.
Right, yeah. And so those guys are, 2 or 3 steps above.
Yeah.
But, for the middle of the road, rap lyric at this time, it's not like significantly worse. So that's where I kind of give it a pass. I hate these lyrics. These lyrics are like
just
really disturbingly childish.
Yeah.
And so they're terrible. But to give them their due, they are on a page of a yearbook where a lot of their classmates look similar.
Yeah,
So,
that makes sense.
yeah.
When I was going through and I'm trying to, because I was critiquing flow, critiquing lyrics, but I'm thinking, man, am I way too modern with this? How am I thinking? I went back and thought, okay, what was rap like in 1989?
Yeah.
And all the lists of what rap was like in 1989, they kept bringing up like Beastie Boys dropped Paul's Boutique, De La Soul dropped 3 Feet High and Rising, which is an incredible album.
Oh, yeah.
I looked up when Rakim and Eric B were on their game, and they came out before, and then they some of the best cases of interesting rhyming through the time. So I realized that, then I thought, man, but these guys we remember them because they're great. So what is like, there's no way to find out what the middle of the road in 1989 was. So
it's tough. It is tough. We're like that list that you just gave is the top 1%.
Yeah.
Of rappers from that era.
Yeah.
But another way to look at that is like, how does the music stack up? So what did you think about like the musicality on these tracks?
It kept wavering between passable and really freaking annoying. Specifically on Heaven Bound, it was both a hyper cheesy instrumental, a hyper just that horn, that freaking trumpet that opens it up. In reference to like the lyrics and the ways they express, like they talk about trumpets on the other part of the album, I can see this having a kind of a thematic combination with the rest of the album. But when it opens it up, it sounds like it's coming from like a freaking toy Yamaha keyboard.
It's low production.
It is
low production.
And they didn't have lo-fi back then.
Right.
So that's just bad sounding.
Yeah.
And like granted, when the album sold, it sold only a little more over 7,000 copies in the first forever of it. So it took a while for it to get off. So I'm not like they didn't have an army of producers behind them, but the musicality itself.
They were a college band right at this time.
Yeah, basically. But
and they met at Liberty.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And Toby Mac was like on the Jerry Falwell Old Time Singers radio show. For real. before teaming up. So
man, seeing where people in the rap game start is kind of funny. The music from Heaven Bound specifically.
It's pretty corny.
It is cheesy, but it's also super infectious.
It is.
Honestly, I kept blanking out and then finding myself nodding my head. Not just nodding my head, but like rocking back and forth, getting a little dance going.
Yeah.
Can't lie. Hook is sticky. The hook gets to you. Like not the heaven bound. Not that, but heaven bound. Just that whenever they bring in a chorus, whenever they bring in a choir to sing their hook, that's when it gets decent.
I compare it to like the Never Gonna Give You Up, the Rick Rolled guy. What's that guy?
Rick Astley?
Yeah. A lot of the music sounds like that corny. And it's some similar period. But then it will stick with you. So they were good at melodies. So.
They had some decent melodies.
Yeah.
There was one. We'll get to it. There's a melody that I want to take my time hating.
Okay.
But that's going to be towards the middle of the record.
Okay.
Before there, we have a Got to Be next track.
Yeah.
I think this is the best hook on the album.
You think so?
Yeah.
You like how he went like way high on the word saved? Saved, you gotta be saved.
They just whenever it's the choir taking over,
Yeah.
I like it because it's not like the rest of the song.
Okay,
The rest of
okay.
the song
Yeah.
is they're joking. They're it's not a joke. That's what's terrible about it. They're really amateur, really immature, sort of overly hyped delivery style. Like it's bigger than like. I keep thinking of DC Talk as in the Christian run DMC because it's three dudes and one
Yeah.
of them barely talks. You assume he's a producer
Yeah.
and it's just, and they have like a similar rhyming pattern of like rhyme,
Yeah.
rhyme. But DMC wasn't this aggressive. Like it feels like these
Yeah.
guys are trying to go on the aggression train just to make sure that they can break the wall of people thinking they're a joke.
Yeah.
But it just makes them kind of a funnier joke. But the difference with the hook is that the hook is powerful. It is an anthemic and uplifting kind of hook. Got to be saved.
Yeah.
That's I love that.
Nice. I'm surprised to hear that. I thought that one was going to irritate you.
No.
Cool.
No, that hook, I enjoyed it. Again, the lyrics are so freaking basic. If they sprinkled in a little bit of the prosperity gospel, I would accuse them of getting too much of their theology from Joel Osteen.
Yeah.
Just with how surface level their presentation is. But then again, it comes back to, what Christian rap was being released back then.
Yeah, well, and they say in this one, now you can have all the fun and money man can have, sport a Porsche or carry Gucci bags.
Yeah, I know.
You
They're
can
talking about chains
gear
and
and
Gucci.
gold from your chest to your chin, but if you don't know the Savior, you'll never get in.
They're still talking.
So, it's like the gates of hell shall prevail on your soul if money making, shaken honeys is your lifelong goal. So there's like this, peppering in of the rap game materialism and saying like it's bad, which we can draw a line from that to Lecrae in Let the Trap Say Amen, which is our last album, because he's always like sprinkling in the imagery of the rap game and the rap world, but being like, nah, that's not me. It's like I could flex, but I'm not going to. And so in some ways, there's a great continuity from 1989 to 2018, from this boom bap, like 80s synth produced to trap, Lecrae. And that to me is fascinating.
Yeah, that synth organ solo towards the end, that is hilarious because they bust that out of nowhere. It's the most 80s thing that could possibly happen. On their Christian rap album, they bust out the synth solo. That's one of the many solos on this album that had me laughing. Then the next track, Final Days. Rare you find a song that has like such a tone to it. I did not think a tone like this would, like, granted the track right before this was Got to Be, which is about like, which is a very direct song about like, hey, you're gonna go to hell if you don't get on the save train.
Saved.
Yeah, like that's a
not
very
subtle,
direct addressing of their audience. But Final Days is also a very direct sort of like, y'all know what's gonna happen in the final days. It ain't gonna be fun. That's I appreciated the sentiment. It's a very nice intention, Toby. Very nice intention, Mike. Very nice intention, Kevin. But again,
no artistry.
No.
And I actually think this is more playing to a market that they're actually pretty conscious of, as students at Liberty. Like, the end times, eschatology, apocalypse. I mean, you remember the Left Behind series is coming out,
Oh, wow.
And so, like, it's signaling we're cool. Like, don't worry, it's rap, but we're fine. That's going to kind of be my thesis.
Like
on
the song itself is kind of like
DC
Revelations, is like John's consolation to the Christians in Rome at the time. I can see it like that. It's not as popular or harrowing. That some of the lines I really thought were great. They had that line that said, "The final days are what my song is about." Really, Toby, I didn't get that. From your hook, which is final days. Just really interesting. It's great that
they
you
needed
mentioned
to rhyme
that.
with Hayes.
It's true. They mentioned that in the middle of the song too. So like if you I guess if you weren't listening already, if you had already tuned out, then they'll be like, oh, so that's what's supposed to be going on right now. And then another lyric where he says, I'm talking about God, no misinterpretation. There is no way we could have been misinterpreting you. There is not a single metaphor in this that we could have misconstrued. Buddy, if your concern was that people would hear this and think, you know what, they're worshiping Satan on this album, you're in the clear. No one's going to accuse you of backwards masking
Well, they just
anything.
needed to rhyme with creation. Like they're not complex thinkers. So
all the rhymes,
misinterpretation is how they linked up with creation.
did all the Asian like words that could rhyme with creation come into existence in 1990? Because I'm sure there are other.
They just weren't very good.
Man, they had to record this the next day, and they're like, we gotta start writing things now.
Yeah.
That's
my theory.
Again, they had a beatbox. They had another solo. This one's a beatbox solo.
Mm-hmm.
It had that 80s beatbox tone, which has that like there was way too much tongue in it, so it was like so much.
Oh, I loved their beatboxing.
It was great, but it was funny.
They did a couple other ones, like "Time to Jam" is a beatbox.
Yeah,
and they're trying to put on this like pseudo street act. You know,
Time to Jam was probably. Time to Jam is probably the funniest.
Quite explicit, yet rated G. That line is so emblematic of their lyrics. You know, it's like we want to look hard, but don't worry, we're rated G.
Yeah.
You know, it's like gangster, but not gangster.
Yeah, check out.
We'll play in your youth room.
Yeah, you think my fanny pack is filled with the tech, but you know what? It's filled with Gideon Bibles.
Yeah, tracks. Yeah. All right, The King, Alleluia, next track.
That guitar was way too distorted. That guitar was way too loud. The first thing that happened was me thinking, man, who is handling your mixing? They need to calm down right now.
Okay, this was my favorite track. I loved how hard the guitar was. For me, this was one where I thought this one aged well. It didn't sound, there was none of the synth. It was very stripped down. So if you did what they did then, but you put it on like some modern sounds, like I actually think this is the track that you could do like a remake of.
Honestly, yeah.
It reminded me of that Run DMC song with Aerosmith. You know,
yeah,
when
Walk This Way.
Walk This Way was, I mean, it's like 4 years before this, but it also sets up where they ultimately go as being an alt rock band on the Jesus Freak album. So I thought, as far as their aesthetic was concerned, The King was the one that was sort of the germ, the seed for where they were going to go. And I found it the most interesting to listen to.
It had the best potential out of any track on the album to be. It had the potential to be the best track, partially because like it's tough to screw up your so on the nose theology when it's just a story song about like three distinct sections of the story of Jesus. Like it's hard to get that wrong. They just did it. They moved forward. It was decent all the way through. I said the guitar is distorted, but it doesn't kill the track for me. It would have been a perfect opener if DC Talk decided to release like a theology focused album. Like if they wanted to release something that was about God more than about the fact that they are Christian rappers.
Yeah, it was a step in the right direction lyrically. You know, you're like doing narrative, and it wasn't quite as like self-conscious.
It had more going for it than it had pushing against it.
I love the guitar licks, man. It was like, dude, this is a hard track. This is hard.
Also, it had the word Golgotha, and it made me realize, man, Golgotha is a word that should be in more rap. That's a hard word. I then looked for rap songs that had the word Golgotha in them. I found one. It's by a guy named King ISO.
Oh my gosh.
Dark
deep
track.
Research.
Dark track. Ooh, that is a dark song of a man tortured by mental demons and in prison, called Golgotha. And that is the sort of situation where the Golgotha is a great word to be using in that sort of tone. But in the mix of this hyped up, high energy, bright rap,
it feels very different. That's why I liked it.
The word Golgotha itself, the low tones and everything, it sounds exactly like a piece of Mordor.
And so that song that sort of has a little bit of darkness and has that hard guitar, it's Alleluia, Christ is King is the refrain though. And so they do sort of like they mix and match with those tones. But that one and the next one, Spinning Round, were similar, and they felt fairly different than the rest of them. It was another Spinning Around was another like stripped down, kind of a hard sound. So that one musically, I think was a nice follow up to The King.
I think the Spinning Rounds. I only wrote one thing regarding a single verse on here. Listen kind of close. You might need a dose. A decent Christian rap with DC Talk as your host.
Yeah. Waving that flag. Waving that flag.
Wow. Didn't just...
They do that bit over and over. They also
do.
do like a King David bit over and over, like
they
playing
do.
a harp or something. But
They just... I would call it consistent theming if it just didn't sound like laziness.
yeah.
Anyway, the biggest thing I got from Spinning Around was that hook was absolute garbage. I hated that hook with every inch of my body.
But it's in your mind right now.
It got into my head.
Yeah, I'm hearing
I
it.
started singing it as it was coming up, and I was so upset because it's the worst melody in the world, the worst pattern.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's
gonna be in your head
it sounds like a
all weekend.
carnival tune.
Yeah.
It sounds like a bad, dissonant horror carnival.
Yeah.
Why did you let that in? Ugh, that's literally the only other thing I can think about.
Yeah.
It was just so... God. Also, did it spin you right round like a record from I forgot, Dead or Alive or what it was called, what came out 4 years before.
Yeah.
This just sounded like a ripoff in a way.
Yeah.
And I think, like, if it's a ripoff 4 years later, is it then a send-up or a tribute or just incorporating the themes? Or are you just not
You're banking
good at-
on the fact that your audience hasn't listened to rap music until they bought your album.
Yeah, well, thinking it that way might have been courting another audience.
Yeah.
But I hate that song so much. But least favorite song, worst thing. Just moving on. Voices praise him.
Whack. Synth pop. This one to me musically is the picture in the yearbook where like you had your collar popped and like all these like a the jeans that had that were like tapered at the that's in fashion whatever like the bleach wash jeans or something. This did not age well at all for me, but that was just my musical preference on that one. We get Young David in there again, and
Young David sounds like a great MC name.
Yeah, they should have led with that, but I really didn't think they had 8 songs. So like kind of like you were saying with Kamikaze, this one was another one. I was like, it sounds like 4 of the other ones. So.
I literally remember I think about 0 things from it because the only thing I wrote down here is I didn't even finish it this time. Through my second listen, I just skipped it because I got towards the end and just went. I
remember the hook. It was like this sort of very synth.
Let me pull that hook up real fast. What we got here? There we go.
There it is.
I can't lie.
Yep.
This hook isn't terrible in itself. I won't say the hook is terrible in itself because I ended up dancing to like every one of these hooks, just kind of like rocking back and forth, having a bit of fun. But this is also the track that I could not pay attention. It sounds like the most filler track it possibly could.
Yeah.
For me, this is the equivalent of the picture of the kids in the science club while they're holding some model rocket, but they're all wearing white polos and khakis.
Yeah.
So they blend into the paper of the book. So you just flip over that picture and you forget it's there.
Yeah.
So it blends so much into everything else. It's almost like there's 7 tracks and Spinning Around's just really long. Next track, Time to Jam. I loved it.
Beatbox. It's got that. It's supposed to feel like spontaneously done on the corner.
Yeah, even though it has the most orchestrated, cheesy intro.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, if I were right, we're gonna hit this beat.
Yeah.
You drop me something cool.
I'm DC Talk, and I'd like to say I rock the mic in a kicking way.
I loved it.
I mean, that's it. That's how you start a freestyle.
That is the best way to make fun of 80s rap ever. I'm here to say, in a way, those are all you need to be an 80s street corner freestyler.
Yeah.
God awful and amazing at the same time. Oh, it was a time capsule of just awkward charm.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it, even though they had those sound effects that are coming like in the periphery of the headphones. You'll hear like these really comical things.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. There's a short track, so we're hitting the last one here. He Loves Me.
Yeah.
I want to get your thoughts on it.
Okay, this is a corny altar call at the end of the album. So if this album is like a church service, at the end, you got to get someone to walk the aisle and rededicate their life to Christ or make a decision to get saved, which is, get saved is one of the hooks.
Yeah.
And it's a very, to me, like sappy, over-the-top appeal to pathos. And, I mean, the hook is, Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so.
In the slowest possible tempo it could be.
It's so slow. And so I almost feel like before this song, someone should be on like with every head bowed and every eye closed, kind of thing.
They should start each line with just a part of the Lord's Prayer.
And so that's also where I want to telescope forward into their mid-career dominance, because this one didn't make their career at all.
No.
This album did not, but it's their origin story. So if you look at Jesus Freak, that album, which is an alternative rock / rap crossover, probably more of an alternative rock album though, they parody church culture dysfunction in a very satirical way. And they make fun of like this like whack altar call kind of thing, or like these sort of church culture things that are seen as by a younger generation, like artifice and empty ritual. And so in Jesus Freak, it's almost like they're revising their own catalog. In understanding maybe how they were too young to understand the culture that they were a part of when they made this DC Talk album. Right. And so that would kind of be my wrap up for the album and also for their larger career.
Yeah. So the story of me picking this album actually starts last winter. I went up to a friend's place in Nashville. Outside Nashville, we stayed in a house that her family owned, and that house was on the campus of a Christian summer camp, and they had these VHSs,
nice.
These promo VHSs.
Oh, I loved getting those. When I was in youth group, they would show up, and it would be like DC Talk, Newsboys, East of Eden, like all these goatee records. But the signees,
the promos were of the camp. But they had, but
never mind. Sorry,
no. But they're like their background
different
tracks.
VHSs.
Yeah, it's true. Like, I literally spent hours trying to find a show I used to watch on like the gospel music channel. It was just a show of Christian rap music videos.
Yeah.
So much of what I listen to now comes from that.
I just loved those.
I spent hours and hours and hours trying to find it. I never could. Could never. I looked at pretty much every single American Christian television show or television network possible. And I couldn't find it. I eventually found this, like the one song I was looking for, but the promos we found in there were of the camp. They're funny, they were cheesy. It's early 90s. But one of the videos had this song as its backup, and I just stopped watching the video, and I started indulging.
He Loves Me DC Talk song, the last one on the album.
Just so I don't have to make you guys find this, I'm going to let the audience here listen to a portion of that track.
Sweet.
All right, y'all. So this is the opening. You can tell already that we're going to have a lot of fun when we begin, getting into this.
With every eye closed and every head bowed.
Exactly. We're going to move forward a bit. Here we go. This low. You have never heard this song sung this slow. It has
No.
never been this slow because we all know that this is just suffering to get through in the first place.
I thought it was going to be a 10-minute track when I started it.
Oh my gosh, but it keeps going. I want you all to hear the verse.
Takes a while to get there.
It takes, yeah. But y'all ready for the verse? Here it comes. No, that's not right. I timed that badly. All right, this should be
So
it.
much build up now.
I might edit this out. I don't know.
Building
But wait.
it up. No, let's do it.
As I sit and ponder, I begin to wonder why.
Ah!
Son upon this earth to die. The conviction of my heart burns a tear to my eye and keep reality far from me. I just
Yeah.
It burns.
Just endured. Just for a sinner like me. He paid the price when he died for me on Calvary's tree.
So it's amazing that they took the raw material of this and turned it into the biggest Christian recording act ever. You know, this is where they started.
I think it's truly a situation where you can use it to show that God truly does redeem people
And you know, like
from nowhere, from no matter where they begin.
yeah. But you know, think about like you're in 7th grade when this comes out, and all you have, because your parents only let you listen to Christian music,
Yeah.
is Steve Green and Sandy Patty and maybe Stephen Curtis Chapman. Okay, so like running up against that, this is like, you know, a revelation. It's like it does feel countercultural.
Yeah.
But when you listen to that right now, it is rough.
It is
It is rough.
pain incarnate.
Yeah.
So that is so DC Talk's first album is it's not good. It's a pretty good summation, I think.
But it's telling, and it's an origin story, and it is the birth of an industry.
Like a famous author's first book.
20 minutes. I got to go in about 20.
Okay, so we're gonna speed this up. I feel like that was the album I wanted to talk about the most.
Well, we got
honestly.
it on. Yeah,
Okay.
I was ready for that one too.
All right, so we're gonna hit these next ones pretty hard. I think Grits is honestly the one that I'd be willing to spend I think the littlest amount of time
Okay,
on.
that's fine.
Honestly, because it's a pretty good album, really. It's Grits's I think their third album. It's called Grammatical Revolution. Came out in 1999. Daggum, man, it might not be something I bump in my spare time, but it was something I did not have a bad time listening to.
I thought it was excellent, and it really felt to me like a coming of age for this genre. So it's
Truly.
a decade after DC Talk's album that we just reviewed, and it doesn't feel like a sort of like shifting, like taking someone else's aesthetic and then laying Bible verses over it.
Yeah.
It really felt like they were masters of a craft. Their lyricism was excellent. They change up their flow. They have multiple musical styles, and it is so catchy. So the song, "I'ma show 'em," I'm going to show them.
I'm a show. Yeah.
That hook and that song, I remember that was still hot in 2005. I mean, that was still on like, you know, the sports team warm-up mix. I mean, 5-6 years later, that had a great lifespan. And for me, what makes this whole album good, the lyricism is excellent, but it's also subtle. So its Christianity is not like, here's my big Christian flag that I'm waving. It's, I'm a good craftsman at this art, and you're going to be drawn in. And then, oh, by the way, this is like a clean record. And, oh, this is like, oh, there's like Christian stuff in here as well.
Yeah.
So it's not nearly as on the nose. And they're really clever. I mean, they're from Nashville. It's a duo, but it has that like Outkast Atlanta feel.
Yeah.
Really, I think they're the closest to Outkast of any other.
I think they're a little understated in like their delivery is still. What I really liked about the group as a whole is that their delivery is not overstated. They aren't overly eccentric, but yet they don't blend into other groups. If I hear a Grits song in the wild without knowing it, I feel like I could pick them out.
Yeah.
They still maintain an identity without being overly eccentric. Not saying like Outkast is overly eccentric, but you can tell Andre 3000's voice if he pops up anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's a line from, I think this is I'm a show 'em. Maybe it's from something else. But it's
I'm Show 'em has like that great line about repping Nash.
that's it.
People think
Taste
they ain't
the
a
real
Titan.
from fake appeal. I'm from the Ville. I thought you knew we was Titans. Don't clash with Nash. Not on a mission to prove, but was commissioned to move. Not for flashy style or image, but because God said it was finished.
That's
So much internal
good.
rhyme, and you've got the play of Ville and Nash and Titan,
Yeah.
and so like that's what I mean by subtlety and craft, and having this last line with but because God said it was finished.
Yeah.
That's a reference to God. It's explicit, but it's not like, are you heaven bound? Are you going to get saved?
Yeah.
The devil's coming for you.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really good. I thought Time is Passing, that low key one, had a Tribe Called Quest vibe a little bit going on. The lyrics were a little bit more preachy in that one. They get a little more explicit.
It was pretty darn basic.
But
I really like the Spanish side of their hook, though.
oh yeah, that was cool. Hmm.
That was it
guitar
was very
intro.
sweet, very very very.
That was on They All
appealing.
Fall Down, I think.
No,
that
the Spanish one. No, it comes from Time is Passing
Okay.
because it's like El tiempo. Está
Oh,
pasado.
gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
but Time is Passing. I think C2K.
Yeah.
Everyone's on the circle, so come on in. Do being a friend, 'cause that hook
Yeah.
is that's the kind of hook that will get me moving, man.
This is a dance album. I mean, you
Honestly.
cannot sit still.
Seriously, it's an
It's a
amazing-
workout album.
I would, especially to C2K.
Yeah. And does that one end with the skit with like the hillbillies?
Yeah.
That was hilarious
Wait,
too.
is that the right one? Oh shoot, Hillbilly skit. I think I wrote this down somewhere.
So there's this little skit.
That's at the end of Struggling.
That's in the struggle. Okay. Where they kind of have like this conversation with these like over the top stereotypical whack Tennessee rednecks talking about
Yeah.
rap. And so they're from Nashville, and it's like, we're going to take over. Like Nashville is going to be like this rap city now. And it really felt like a legitimate hip hop album skit, not something that was.
Because it was low key. It didn't feel like time to whatever. I already forgot the name of it from DC Talk. It
Time to
felt,
jam, yeah.
It felt much more natural and flowing. You couldn't hear some of their words, so it feels like someone just pulled out a microphone while some people
Yeah.
were talking to each other.
Yeah, and it was humorous and also a little bit self-deprecating. So
Yeah, that's what I
thought
appreciate.
that one was really good. And then the last track, the end, featuring Out of Eden. Out of Eden, that was like the Christian TLC.
Really?
I mean, they were this trio, beautiful. I remember like our youth leader would play like the promo VHS music video. I was like, those girls are fine. I had such a crush on East of Eden. And their voices just blended so beautifully. And them pairing up with Grits here in 1999 was great. By the way, so like all of these recording artists, Out of Eden, I said East of Eden, it's Out of Eden. East of Eden is a John Steinbeck novel. They're all on this record label created by Toby Mac and
Yeah,
DC Talk,
Goatee Records.
which creates this huge industry. And they had this like subscription list, and you could send off certain money and receive numbers of CDs and cassettes. It was awesome. And so they really had like a legit industry hustle with that. And Grits, so this duo, do you know where they met each other?
Yeah, they were backup dancers for
Yes.
DC Talk.
They were back up. It's like the wackiest whackness of a whack group.
Yes.
But they come out and they're like dope and lyrical.
Yeah, on Supreme
So
Bring,
they-
they name drop
Yeah.
everyone in DC Talk, and I
Yeah.
thought, man,
Yeah.
that is some. That is
So
some-
there's kind
just-
of
I
like
love
this.
'em.
There's kind of this family biz element
Yeah.
to the Christian rap game
They're
from '89 to now.
We have
There
no
really
room
is.
to beef.
Yeah,
There's not enough of us to maintain beefs.
No. Yeah, so that in some ways, I think that's very sweet.
Yeah, I think. Okay, the single greatest insult of all the '90s, I think, was confirmed on "Stop Bitin'."
Yeah.
You old style nibblin' wagon, jumpin' braggin', skill non chainsaw jawed bandit.
That was, and if you can like lay down a diss with that much cleverness and not have to go like the Eminem profanity. Like that
Yeah.
really is crafty.
Honestly.
And so like I got to say well done to them for that. And they don't hit below the belt.
They don't. No, it's good. The biggest thing that stuck out to me was Supreme Being's instrumental, because it starts off with like this odd 20th century contemporary classical orchestral nonsense. It could be a joke. On any other album, it would be a joke instrumental. They somehow managed to make it work. It opens up like it's a complete farce, and then it just they are able to land on it with a flow that rationalizes everything.
Yeah.
It's the one that also drops the DC Talk reference.
Yep.
I didn't realize I'd be able to enjoy it, but man, did I though.
Yeah.
It was terrific.
And their 2010 album Quarantine is really terrific too. I mean, as
That's the one I
an
didn't get to.
album, and they've got singles. I feel like they've just been like consistently good, and they've adapted. Now they haven't shifted as much as Lecrae, and that's kind of where we're going next. They haven't, and I mean DC Talk, they didn't just shift. They like, changed hemispheres from album to album. But they pull it somehow. They pull it off in a way that was successful.
Yeah.
Grits has a little bit more artistic continuity as their sound evolves, but Quarantine is also a great listen.
It's If anyone wants to listen to some other Grits tracks, I'd recommend Ooh Ah, which is their biggest
that was
single.
A hit.
If anyone's from Tennessee, you need to listen up. You need to listen to Tennessee Boys.
Yep.
That is our anthem, guys. If y'all are from,
Can you play a little bit of it? Do you have it?
I think, oh man, I could probably pull it up. That is, I don't know. Just listen, y'all. First of all, this instrumental's got such a nice groove in it. This kind of low hustling sound.
Tennessee boys, dirty South boys, Tennessee boys, dirty South boys.
Come on.
It is good. Ooh Ah, actually, looking at their Spotify playlist, Ooh Ah has 113 million listens, which I didn't realize.
They have
That song
1.5
is-
million monthly.
Yeah.
Like
I didn't realize.
they're a crossover group. I mean,
It's
they're legitimately one foot in both worlds.
It's insane that I never really realized that. Also, Here We Go, I think is the other one I'd recommend. That was the one that I grew up listening to with my family. My dad loves that song.
Nice.
But that's a good time. But man, Grits came out. They stuck their foot down, said we're going to be good and Christian at the same time. You know what? They had the best sort of balance I think we could get out of it. And now the distance between DC Talk and Grits is 10 years. It's 1989 to 1999. Now we're going to jump about 20 years, unfortunately. I wish we could have done something from 2009. I pulled up KJ52.
I gave that a spin. Yeah.
Yeah. KJ is...
Christian Eminem,
Yeah, kind of. He's just
but
as...
not very good.
He's just as hokey as he needs to be.
He's not that good.
He really isn't.
No, but it's an interesting talking point for, where does the Christian world sort of like leech off of the secular world in the rap game? And I think he's not the Christian Eminem. He's the Christian MGK. Because without Eminem, you don't have a career. Wow. Yeah. How about that?
I'd call NF the Christian MGK.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
In terms of like, in terms of image and presentation, if we're looking for like one-to-one comparisons, NF's got that hyper-aggression factor, and KJ52 is like early slim levels of hokey
That's
weird.
what I mean. Yeah, he's MGK because he needs M to exist.
Yeah, in terms of like in industry, in an industry way, he is definitely.
But he doesn't have a bad flow. But for me, he is the most derivative of any of these acts.
If you guys want to see the funniest picture I've ever seen, look up the cover art to 5-2 Television. He is just rocking a whole bunch of bandanas and some pretty silly jewelry.
Yeah.
He's a funny guy. We couldn't take a stop in mid to end 2000s, so we jumped forward to what I think is probably the most important recent Christian rap album. Lecrae teamed up with a big name producer Zaytoven, who also recently had an NPR Tiny Desk concert, to produce "Let the Trap Say Amen." And as the resident trap expert, I'm gonna reserve some opinions on it for just a bit.
Okay.
I want to hear what you get through.
Okay.
That's a big title I've given myself there.
I would say like Cooper Ferguson, a.k.a. BC Trap King.
I'm about to add to my Twitter and Instagram bio low-key mumble rap apologist.
Yeah. Okay, so this in my evolution of taste, which I have put in your care, Cooper.
I'm so sorry.
This came at a better time than it would have, like, if this was my first real listen to trap. So, like, if I'm coming to trap out of my, like, lyrical and, I prefer the lyrical, and I prefer like like beats with a lot of like, old school turntable type style, lush beats, horns, orchestration, like the big thing. I would have really struggled to get through this.
Yeah.
But since I had the context of having, listened to Chance, having listened to Yachty, having listened to the boy band that's not a boy band.
We can fight about this another time.
No, what's the name of the band though?
Brockhampton.
Brockhampton. I forgot. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Great.
I apologize. I can't remember all of them right off the top of my head. And then just a couple of the other real new school things. That created a context for me to come to this and appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah.
And I like it in spite of myself. I honestly do. I was playing it at the house, and my wife is not a great lover of the trap, and she was like, well, and of course I had DC Talk on at the house too. So I've been getting a lot of "What the heck are you playing?" this week.
It's for my show,
Yeah,
honey.
I know. This is work. This is work related. And
Need a different job.
but she doesn't have the context that I have of having listened to some of this stuff. So I was like, okay, I can sort of hear this, and I can hear the difference between the tracks, and I can sort of get with it. And if the Grits album is like you could work out to it and you could dance to it, this is sort of like you can get in the car with your buddies and cruise to it.
This is the
You know what I mean?
You can trap to this. You can bump this. This is the vibe.
This is the get in the whip with your boys
This
album.
is. I love the enunciation. Get in the whip with your boys.
Yeah, so I think I can get into it on that level. Now, that being said, Zaytoven is a killer producer, but why does he have to get the little girl to say Zaytoven every time?
It's your joint
Oh
album.
my
Why
gosh!
You can say it once the beginning. You
Like,
don't have to say it after
everybody
that.
knows.
Literally, no
Everybody
one
knows.
else thinks that this is someone else's ghost producing for you. Zay, you're fine. Stop it.
Like you've done albums with Future and Migos. Like, relax. Like, you're gonna get your credit. So for me, that inserted a hokiness in listening to it as an album, whereas I think in a lot of ways this is meant to be listened to as individual tracks. And so like the name that was just irritating. This corny like name check of yourself at the beginning of every one. But Waka Flocka Flame.
he keeps popping up in places you don't.
He is on the third track, Two Sides of the Game. I actually love that track. I thought it was a hit, and I think Waka Flocka Flame might be the unifying thread between all our episodes. Like he was on him. He's been on all these albums.
And Quali and freaking everywhere.
He's everywhere. I love it.
I've been looking up tons of, because if I'm going to be the mumble rap apologist, I gotta know my game. So I've been looking up literally mumble rap history, best albums ever.
Yeah.
And someone posted on like a Reddit thread that said, "Hey, what's the best trap album you can think of?" And the first post on every single time someone reposts something like that, it's Flockavelli, just for history's sake. And the thing about it, you know what? Flocka's history in the trap world, and he shows up in Quali's record. He shows up here, and I don't think there's a time I've ever been like, man, that Flocka verse is whack. No.
He was like Waka Flocka Cray on this one.
That was pretty funny.
That was so good. So I like that one. My favorite track was the very last one, By Chance. Probably because it was the least trappy. It was the most upbeat, and it had some cool horns and some cool instrumentals. And I really thought the lyrics were good on that one as well. So that one was my favorite. And like lyrically, yeah. So he says, "We done came a long way now. God be listening when I pray now. Came from country roads and riding on the train now. Now we in a private plane. Ain't no flexing. I'm just saying wow." And so I think in a lot of ways he still does a lyrical thing that DC Talk was doing in 1989, where he's getting God into the mix with these other images of a rap culture thing and saying, like, I sort of stand apart. Like, if I'm on the block, it's because I'm witnessing. I go to prison, but it's for a ministry.
Yeah.
So I think that's cool.
Yeah. It's now from the trapedemic.
Yeah.
The trap academic, the trapedemic.
I get it.
This is a decent trap album.
Okay.
The problem I had while I was going through it was that I like Zaytoven's production. The number one thing he lended to the album was consistency.
Yeah.
He is the only reason this could be an album.
Yep.
Like tons of these, I should separate them out as singles. That's how I would enjoy them.
Yeah.
But he made sure that this is an album through and through. It doesn't break from itself at any point. It doesn't feel like Gemini. It doesn't feel like the odd breaks away that Kamikaze had at
Yeah.
times. This is 100%, except for I think like the final two tracks, that's where it kind of starts winding down and you feel that trappishness vacating. But at
Yeah.
the same time, it's
It's a nice outro.
It's still present. This is a good trap album, and if you're a Christian looking for Christian rap and you're upset because like you only want to be listening to Christian rap, you don't want to be listening to all the vile vileness and themes and profanity and regular rap, then this is your godsend.
Yeah.
Then this album is exactly what you want. This will be the trap album you want to listen to if you're interested in trap, but you want to listen to it in a way that you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
But if you are a trap fan, this album is kind of just another trap album.
Okay. Interesting.
It is a decent trap album. It is a very good Christian rap album in today's landscape.
Yeah.
I was going through my old Lecrae stuff that I really enjoyed. I
Yeah.
started listening to After the Music Stops again because that was the first. That was the first album of his I bought.
He's been so prolific.
That's the one that opens up with Jesus Music, which is a banger for
Yes.
the ages. It will never
Yes.
stop being. It
Yes.
is. I screamed that out loud when
Yeah.
I was driving home at 3 a.m. That
Yeah.
never gonna stop loving that track.
It is good.
The change from there to then, the man's gone through so many shifts. His last album he got flack for because it was very political and not very political in nature, but it had definite political leanings. It was called
Yeah. There was a track called America on it.
yeah, it was definitely he was
Very politically
He was
conscious.
being a very, very direct Christian, but also doing a very good job of being like, "Hey guys, I have to discuss this. This is a problem."
Absolutely,
And
yeah.
he brings up the issues that he feel like that I think he probably got from the church and probably some of his like pretty dedicated fans on one of the tracks in here. He brings up how people might have had a problem with the way that he. Not the way that he handled, but the fact that he even handled that situation.
Yeah.
In a way, that was on Preach,
Yeah.
which had a cool hook. Now, trap is very much about its production and very, very hook centric. A lot of these hooks are, I think, pretty good. But honestly, there are hooks in that Grits had that I prefer over this in lots of ways, because these hooks, again, that consistency unfortunately can sometimes devolve into being sameness,
Monotone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
These hooks start sounding exactly like each other after a little while.
I felt that way, but I didn't know if that's just me not having as broad a palette for the trap.
Having listened to tons of trap, it's true. After a while,
Okay.
these hooks start being similar. Now, tons of hooks are similar, but that's how you find, the good stuff is the stuff that isn't similar, and how you find decent stuff. Again, it's not bad. It's just this is kind of sounding the same. I think the best thing they had going for them was the hook on Holy Water.
That was good.
Because if you took that hook and put it on pretty much anyone else's track, that would be hard.
Yeah.
That would mean that would be such a euphemism for something cold,
Yeah.
some drug-related, ice-related nonsense. Here, really basic what it means.
Yeah.
But it's that hook alone sounded cool. Blue Strips as a track, I think, was kind of the most boilerplate, like yeah, people are doing it for the money.
Yeah.
And
What'd you think about the hook on "Only God Can Judge Me"?
it was above par. Only God can judge. I enjoyed that track overall. Even though that's the moment where I started saying these hooks are beginning to sound the same. But I can say that unfortunately I just started to zone out at that point. That's when the trap nature. That's when it started, I think, leaning on mumble rap more than it was leaning into trap, because mumble rap's nature is to combine vocals with instrumentals.
Yeah.
Meaning you stop paying attention to what he's saying, you start paying attention to how his voice sounds. But that means I'm not paying attention to your words anymore. And if you are being a Christian artist working Christian lyrics, and that's the only thing that you're using to express your Christianity is your lyricism, then you can't really afford to let that meld into everything else. So when I started zoning out, that's when I started saying it's losing some of its Christian identity. But when it started losing some of its Christian identity, I didn't think it lost its musical quality.
Yeah.
Because the quality still remained behind, because the instrumentals, again, a lot of that's on Zaytoven, but again, a lot of that's on Lecrae's delivery.
Yeah.
Because Lecrae, he's been in the game for years and years and years. He's got friends
Got
all up
about
and
a
down
dozen different flows.
throughout the industry. The man knows what he's doing. He's not an amateur. He's not some joke. He's not out here trying to be with the big dogs. He's one of the big dogs. So as an album, I definitely appreciate it. I for real appreciate what it is for the Christian rap world. But
Do you think it's successful outside of a Christian-only audience?
To some people, maybe. To people like me, maybe not, because when I look for trap, I look for a certain kind of trap. I look for a certain expression or a certain kind of aggression or a certain delivery.
Yeah.
Lecrae's voice is not my sort of taste, because when I look for a voice, I look for either something that's really, really hyped up or something that's really, really cold.
Yeah.
So like either Denzel Curry or 21 Savage.
Yeah, I think his voice is really well suited to the lyrical flow from the early years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Him on Rebel after the music stops.
Yeah.
All that, real talk, that's peak Lecrae for what he is and how he performed.
Yeah.
I want to listen to more of his his last album, because I was listening to a couple of it. His voice kind of changed up for portions of that album. He started getting more expressive, a lot more fun. Talking about the album track by track would be kind of useless, because I keep coming back to this is a decent trap track. This is a decent trap track. This is decent. Towards the end, it kind of falls off for me, because again, it's not my favorite thing. The one track where I think I had more to say on it than pretty much else was on Switch.
Yeah.
Because that's a pretty basic handling of that concept. And there is an example actually from the same year, 2 months later, on a different album, of how to do that kind of a track well. Because Denzel Curry's album he dropped last year called Taboo had a song called Switch It Up. Exact same concept. And I couldn't pay attention to Switch. I can get down to Switch It Up. Because it's not overblown bass hyper-aggression, but it's a guy who knows how to use his voice to bring in the instrumental more, hype everything else up, and then his flow and the instrumental combine to then create a full-on level of engagement for a listener on a track that, when it comes from that voice, then you get into how it feels. From this, after all these songs that are kind of the same after a while, it doesn't feel preachy, but after a while, it just feels like a guy who's just talking to himself after a bit. And
I am really surprised at your take on this one, Cooper.
I have to be more critical, because it's both Christian rap, which is my field, and it's trap, which is my field, which is where I spend my time.
I think we almost met in the middle on this one. I gave it extra credit, and you gave it extra criticism.
Yes, it's well, this is officially the longest episode we've recorded. We all got
three albums.
Three albums
decades?
with
no, how did we do? We did
3 albums and 2 dudes.
Yeah.
Imagine what would happen if we had.
We did 3 decades.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
If we had Nathan in here, it'd be so much longer.
Yeah.
Kind of glad we didn't. I mean, not against you, Nathan. We are hyped up for our next engagement. But let's bust out some ratings real quick.
Okay.
What do you for DC Talk? I'm gonna go 3, just straight off.
Okay.
3. Can't handle it.
6.
6. Okay.
I'm gonna give it a strong 6.
If I was to evaluate it within its own time, I'd probably give it like a 4 to 5.
Okay.
But in this perspective, some of those hooks made me want to die. I'm just not going to ever do that again. Grits. 7 to 8. 7 to
Yeah.
8 for me. I think a 7.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to screw it. I'm going to go 8.
7.5. Yeah, I'm going 8. Yeah.
The last track, The End, it's how final days
Yeah.
from DC Talk should have been.
Yeah. It really it wraps it up. It sounds
does
that
a
note of finality.
Much better job.
Yep.
And last but not least, Let the Trap Say Amen.
2018 Lecrae. I'm going on a 6.
I'm going to go with a 5.
Okay.
This is the one and only time you've ever given a trap album a better rating.
Higher rating than you. Oh my gosh. We're flipping the script here.
You're decomposing into me.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm rising above the grain. We will replace each other at some point.
Yeah.
I'll come in here talking about KRS-One. You're going to come here talking about Pump. Also, Lil Pump dropped an album. Don't know if anyone cares. It's bad. It's bad because it's Pump.
I want to make my last comment this. Cooper, I'm sorry that I forgot the name of Brockhampton. Will you accept my apology?
I accept your apology.
On air.
I understand.
Live.
I completely accept.
Okay.
Thank you. This is going to be the end of the episode. I'm putting my foot down. The next album, the next episode is going to be about experimental rap because I love that genre. There is so much to explore. I'm gonna bust out an album that's going to make some people squirm in their seats just because they don't know how to accept the noise.
All right.
I think it's important. And I think I have an album that you may adore. I think I'm going to say it right now. I think you're going to love this album. I think you will. But again, thank you so much for listening. Longest episode ever. If you're here at the end, we love you. We appreciate you. Please listen to the rest of the WJBC catalog. We will be back in 3 to 6 years. We never know. But thank you all so much, and y'all have a good day. We can now pronounce this a wrap. It's a Wrap is a production of WJBC The Roar. Any opinions expressed are those of the individuals. If you'd like to find more, you can find us on iTunes and Spotify, or find us at wjbctheroar.podbean.com and email us at wjbcradio@bryan.edu. Music was provided by The Passion Hi-Fi. Visit them at thepassionhifi.com.